Hi, my name's Tim Pluman. We're here at the home of Odell and Dion Nell, who've turned their home into a sustainable lifestyle choice. And something my wife and I have both been very interested in for many years, but are quite frightened of doing. So hopefully they're going to show us how they managed to do it. Come on in. Hi, Odell. Lovely to be here. Hi. Perhaps you can tell us what systems you've put in place to make your home a sustainable, environmentally friendly, green and somewhat off-the-grid environment to live in. How have you managed to do it?
Well, basically we started purchasing appliances that are green and energy efficient long before we even started implementing the systems.
Things like, you mean like light bulbs, efficient light bulbs?
LED light bulbs, a friendly dishwasher, you know, things like that, TVs. You start with the basics.
And are these items freely available, or do you have to go to specialist stores to find them?
They are in the stores, but you have to do a little bit of homework, and it isn't always the cheapest option.
Sure.
So you have to think long term.
Okay.
But the first system that we implemented was actually the water, the solar water system.
Yes. Right.
I think that is the best place to start.
Well, okay, we can start at the solar water, or we can start with the electricity. I'm quite keen at most people, the idea of getting off the electricity grid is very attractive, especially in today's environment.
Yes.
And so everybody thinks, well, that's a great one, let's do that. And then when it comes to the practical side of it, of course, it scares them to bits, because we don't know how to go, where to start, what to do.
The technicals,
yeah,
yes.
And also where do you find this stuff? So if you don't mind, I'd like to do electricity and then water.
Yeah.
Can we do that?
Okay, but right. I will tell you all the systems we have in place.
Yes, I'd love to know that, yeah.
Okay, so for us the first one was the water system, right, because it is the best cost saver.
Okay.
And it was a good experience to start off with. Okay. Then we went for the PV panels, the photovoltaic electrical system.
Yeah.
That's correct. Yeah. That was a big project.
Yes. Yeah.
And pretty soon, well, we thought we needed to reuse water. Because if you have the electricity in place, you would like to be more friendly and water-wise.
So that's the grey water system?
That's correct. So then we implemented the grey water system and catching up some rainwater, things like that.
Then you also do your recycling, your compost?
Everything tied up with that. Yeah, recycling, you just cannot escape it.
Yeah.
If you want to go green with all the other things, you just can't bypass that. So,
and you're also sustainable in terms that you grow most of your own veg?
Yes, we love growing veggies. Yeah. And we actually experiment. This is the experimentation center for us, play school. So what we do is we try all the new permaculture methods, see what works for us. You see, the urban setting is very unique in the sense that it is micro.
Yes.
So what we would love to do on big scale, we just cannot implement.
But what's so exciting about this is that it is an urban environment. You know, what we're going to look at is, can be done in any house.
Yes.
Basically, it takes the effort and the interest and the input. But this is not something that needs a vast farm or all of those. This is being done in an urban lifestyle, and that's what I'm so excited to see.
Yeah. If we have more urban lifestyle change like this, the urban landscape would change completely.
Yes.
And we wouldn't be so very reliant, on the resources that are provided for us.
Yeah.
Also, the money that goes into these systems, if you're reliant on the municipality, for instance, for every single little need, once that infrastructure goes,
yes, you're in trouble. And I think that's why it's so attractive today, because so many systems seem to be kind of breaking down and under stress.
Yeah.
Well, that's fantastic. So perhaps we can start by having a look at the electricity system.
Cool. Power is transferred to the battery array, which is joined in series and parallel, both. From the batteries, the power is fed into the inverters here, where the 48 DC is turned into 230 volts AC. Well, from the PV panels on the roof, the wiring comes down straight into these DC circuit breakers. Okay. And from there it goes to the charge controllers.
Alright.
And they protect the batteries by equalizing the voltage.
Okay.
Then it is fed back into the normal distribution boards, which supplies the household.
That's great.
This is the solar bypass. If we need to get back on the grid, we just flip the switches and we're back on.
So Adele, this system that you presently have is not completely off the grid. So you're partially on the grid and off. How would you get completely off the grid? What would you need to do and what are the problems?
Well, the first problem you would have is to really get off the grid, you need to expand the battery array to a major extent. And for our purposes, it's just not cost effective.
Yeah.
You see, the battery replacement cycles are like 5 years. Then you have to replace all of them.
Right.
Quite an expensive thing.
So if you're talking about 24 batteries basically to get off the grid, you guys have got 8 at the moment.
Yes.
So you have 24 batteries that you'd have to replace every 5 years.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's talk about 70,000 up.
Yes, just to replace. And that's, you're not going to recoup
that's part
that.
of your cost layout that you have to keep in mind. But of course, the other problem that we have is storage methods, alternative storage methods.
Yeah.
We are looking at them constantly. You know, we're looking at hydrogen solutions, supercapacitors, but they are just not at that level where we can implement them currently.
Okay.
Yeah.
And cost-effective batteries are still that price. I mean, you're not like lithium and those sort of things are just way out of balance.
Totally. Well, currently what we do now, since we're not off the grid, we are using the grid to help us.
Right.
So we feed energy back into the municipal grid, you see.
Okay.
At times when we generate a lot.
Yes.
And so at night, or when the batteries are running low,
yes,
we just reuse that power from the grid.
So when you feed back into the grid, your meter runs backwards?
Correct. So that's what they call a grid-tied system.
Okay, so you're tied into the grid. When you're feeding the grid, it runs backwards, giving you money, and then at night when you're charging, you use the same money again.
Correct.
Okay.
And that means in good months, when it's not very rainy months, our electricity bill is zero.
Yeah, okay, that's fantastic. So, in fact, in a way, what you're doing is you're using your daytime energy to supplement your nighttime energy. And
because of the biggest problem that you have with solar currently is how do you store the energy that you generate?
Yeah.
So if the grid is there, can you imagine a world where every household feeds into this grid?
Yeah, it'd be fantastic.
Wouldn't it?
It would be fantastic.
Yes, they wouldn't have all these problems because they would store that energy for us and at night time or difficult times we reuse it.
With this incredible system that you've built here at your home, how long will it take for the system to pay for itself?
Well, we worked out the scale. According to, on average, on a sunny day, we generate around 36 kilowatt hour. So it would take the system about 7 years to repay. To pay for itself. If one looks at the capital layout though, there are 4 quadrants and they're almost equal cost-wise. The one is of course the PV array itself.
Yes.
The second one is the charge controllers and inverters that we've just looked at.
Yes.
And the battery array, as we discussed, is quite expensive. And then the installation and wiring.
Okay.
Yes. Installing the system is quite labor intensive.
Yeah.
You have to know what you're doing. Otherwise, you have to get somebody in that knows what they're doing.
Yeah. Now, I mean, most people would have to get someone into the system to do it because they don't have the capacity to do it. And so that would probably push up the expense a bit. So maybe an 8-year payoff for a normal household.
And of course, it depends on how large you want to go.
Yeah.
I think it's wise to work out what is my household needs, what will I need for the size of my household. If you live in a small duplex or simplex, of course, the cost will be,
So basically what you guys have done is you've built your own little mini power station.
Correct, that one can say, that is correct.
Okay.
On rainy days, though, the solar system only generates about 7 to 10 kilowatts, you see. So in that event, we go back on the grid-tied system.
Yeah, we're not, you know, the great thing is that we are still in an environment where we have a grid system. But goodness me, if you can get down to only having to pay for electricity for 4 months a year, or something, that's still a win situation, isn't it? Fantastic.
Yes.